Hello there guys, it's me Unstable Voltage, and today I'm going to be taking a look at my brand new custom PC that was built by System Restore UK. I thought I'd show you guys around it, show you what is inside it. After all, some of you did help to pay for it. This is the first time I've ever owned a PC that has been custom built specifically with performance and gaming in mind. In the past, all of the machines I've owned have been sort of standard office machines, everyday generic PCs that have had upgraded graphics cards so they could run games, but none of them have really been built with performance parts in mind. So I'm going to go around and show you guys exactly what I've got, show you what's inside it. I do have a little list to remind me of all the parts and bits and pieces, and I'll put all of the spec in the description for the video if you want to have a look afterwards and see if you can spec something similar to this yourself. So we're going to start by having a little bit of a walk around the case. I'll show you the case first and then the components inside, and then we'll boot it up and show you what this machine can do. So as I said, this was built very lovingly by Pierre at System Restore UK. It's an absolute passion job how this machine has been put together. I've seen a lot of PCs built in my time that have been functional, but none of them seem to have been put together with the care and precision that this machine has. So I'm going to go and say straight away at the beginning of this video, I'm really happy with this machine, both its presentation and its performance. I couldn't be happier with the end result. So let's go around and have a look at the spec. So apologies for my shaky handheld camcorder work, but it's something you are going to have to live with. So this is my case. This is the NZXT H4400. This case is absolutely solid. It is steel construction all the way around. It might as well be made of vibranium, because I'm sure this thing could potentially stop a bullet. If we just go ahead and quickly look around on this side. So this is the back panel of the PC. Nothing really much to see here. I'm not going to be taking that side off because this machine has a lot of soundproofing inside, and the panel on this side is particularly difficult to get back on once removed. So we'll ignore that. So if we go ahead and look at the front first, and excuse the state of the room, but limited space. So the front of the machine, and you can't really get a grasp of just how large the machine is from the video, but it stands just over 50 centimeters tall. It is quite a large tower. So this is the front of the machine. There's no expansion bays, as you can see. This is not a machine that is designed to have CD drives or anything like that. So if you want DVDs, not that most people do these days because most media is digital, but you can get an external drive and just plug that in via a USB. Just pick up fingerprints relatively easily. I've got slightly greasy hands there, and I've left a few fingerprints when I sort of picked it up and put it on the table to show you guys, but not an awful lot going on at the front, as you can see. There's the NZXT logo at the bottom. But if I put my hand underneath the front of the panel and give it a bit of a pull, the whole front panel will come off. And somehow I'm zooming in. There we go. So with the front panel removed, you can now see the filter for the dust on the front. Now that's magnetic. If we just go and grab that at the top and pull it off, and you can see at the front of the case we have three 120 millimeter fans, and those provide the sort of initial airflow into the case for cooling. Now they're the stock fans that come as part of the case. This front panel fits on really nicely. It's magnetic, so it just slots in at the bottom. It's already started to pick up a lot of dust actually, so I need to get the old air duster on that. But magnetic at the top, it just clips into place, and then we can snap the front of the case back on. One more thing that is worth noting, the inside of the front panel also has soundproofing in there as well. You can't actually tell too well from the video, but that is a sound reducing foam. So that helps to reduce the noise that the machine makes. So continuing on around the machine, if we go ahead and have a look at the top, again it's a very clean sort of minimal impact design. The only things you've really got on the top are the power button and the reset switch. Now when it's turned on, the power button will light up with the white LED ring, and you've got the reset switch there just behind it. The power light also acts as your hard drive activity indicator, because it will periodically flash brighter when the hard drive's active. And then we've got some USB sockets. So we've got a couple of USB 2s, we've got a USB 3, and then of course we've got our headphone and microphone inputs if we want to use a communication device. They're all connected up to the motherboard. If we go around to the side, Now the side is probably going to be the most exciting bit, because at the side here, it's got that white piece of paper out of shot so it doesn't reflect. So the side here is probably the most exciting bit, because this case has a panel on the side, so you can actually see in through the window and see everything that's running. I'm not going to plug this in to show you until I get towards the end of this video, because I'm going to take the side panel off, and of course with it plugged in and the fans running, it's going to start bringing in dust, and I don't really want to do that for too long with the side panel removed. So I'm going to start by going around to the back. So here's the back of the machine. So as you can see, we've got another fan on the back. This is not the power supply. The power supply for this machine is down here at the bottom. So this is the outlet fan, and I'll talk about that once we get inside. As you can see down here, the case also has input and output grommets for external water cooling. Got a fair few upgrade slots. Obviously a few of the expansion ports are taken up with the video card. Power supply, as I said, at the bottom. There is in here somewhere, it's a little bit fiddly to grab, but there is another filter that does come out. I just can't get it. There we go. So that's the air filter for the intake on the power supply, so you can take that out and dust it off if your power supply is sucking in dust. And then finally, of course, you've got the motherboard I/O panel on there. So as you can see, the Republic of Gamers logo there. This is an Asus motherboard, but we are going to go now and take a look inside. Just before we do, as you see all the junk in the room, because the panel is very, very shiny. So I'm going to take the panel off so we can have a proper look inside. Now luckily the panel does come off very easily, because it just has two metal screws on the back and it slides off, but I still thought I'd do it two-handed because it is quite heavy and I didn't want to drop it, to be honest. So let's go ahead and have a look at what we've got in here. So first of all, there's the motherboard itself. It's a little bit difficult to tell from the video, but you can see down there that this is a Maximus 8 Ranger. This is a Skylake motherboard, and this is a sort of top-end performance motherboard. It has self-diagnostic features. One thing it does have on there, which I actually really like, is you have the ability, let's just go around to the back here and see if I can find it and show you again. On one of these inputs, there's actually a button there and a USB socket. So you can actually flash restore the BIOS on this. So if you have any problems with this and you need to flash the BIOS back, you can just do it directly from the USB with this button on the back. So ideal if you ever have any problems with the BIOS on a motherboard. So this is a really nice machine. You can see everything in here colour matches, everything is red and black, but we'll get more on to that in a moment. So we've got the motherboard there, top quality motherboard to start with. Like I said, all of these are performance parts, they're all quality parts. I did look at building this machine myself initially, and to be honest, the parts that I were looking at were relatively cheap and low quality, and I'd have never really thought about using these sort of top end parts myself, but Pierre did an absolutely fantastic job with the build. You'll also see as part of the motherboard down there, there's a little red start button. So you can actually start this system up, even if you haven't got it in a case. You don't have to have the power button connected to it. So previously you could build a PC without it being in a case. You just needed it connected to a power supply, but you still had to have the power switch from a case connected up so you could turn it on and off. But you don't here, you've actually got a button directly on the motherboard to do that, as well as a reset switch next to it as well. So that is the motherboard. So I guess the next thing I should talk about is the processor. The processor is hidden there under the heatsink, but the processor is an Intel i7 6700, 3.4 GHz Skylake processor. So obviously I wanted a relatively beefy processor. An i7 is important because I do a lot of video editing. So of course it is important for the gaming side of things, because you don't want to have the sort of games bottlenecking on the CPU side of things. But as far as rendering videos go, you really do need an i7 processor. Also, the plan further down the line, because I want to do more streaming, is to go and use a Razer Stargazer webcam. And the reason I want one of those in particular is because I don't really have enough room in here for a green screen, and the Stargazer has active background removal, but it requires a next gen or a 6th gen or later processor, because it uses Intel's RealSense technology. So I wanted to go for the best processor that I could. I mean, could have gone a little bit higher, could have gone for a 6700K, but I mean obviously I did have a budget to work with as well. But 3.4 GHz, 6700 with a turbo speed of 4 GHz, so it is a nice fast machine there. So that's the processor, it's the i7 6700. Then the memory you can see in here. So this is G-Skill, I think it's G-Skill Ripjaw RAM. So this is DDR4 3200 speed RAM, and there's 32 gigabytes of it in there, so each one of those sticks you can see is an 8 gig stick. So again, probably a little bit overkill, but it really does help for video editing when you're dealing with lots of different clips. So we have got really good processor on a really good motherboard, and we've got a lot of really fast RAM that System Restore have basically cranked up to 11, and that is running really, really well. The heatsink on the processor, this is the Corsair, now let me get this right, this is the Corsair Hydro Series H110i. So we've got a closed push-pull water cooling system, so obviously that's the pump on the processor itself. You can see the water pipes going up there. Now this particular system, it might be difficult to get in here, you can just about see at the top of the case. This has a 280mm radiator at the top of the case there, and as you can see it has two 140mm fans keeping that cool. Now this particular water cooler also has a built-in LED system. The colour is configurable. You can actually configure the colour of the LED from software when the machine is running, which is really, really nice. And one of the things that's really good about that is you can have it to change colour with the temperature of the CPU, or you can have it cycle colours, or just keep it on a static colour, which is something that we will go into later. So really, really happy with that. It's a really nice water cooler, and again, that was something that Pierre at System Restore sorted out. I would have never have known what to put on that processor. In the past, all my machines have just had fans, the sort of stock heat sinks. So again, that helps to keep the machine quiet because we don't have a noisy processor fan. When you have fans, the smaller they are, the more noise they make, because smaller fans whine. So it's much more efficient in terms of noise to have a larger fan that moves slower. So instead of having this tiny little whirring fan on the processor, you've just got two larger fans that move slower but cause less noise, and they're working on the radiator. So let's just quickly go down to the bottom there, and you'll notice right in here we have a Samsung Evo 850, so that's a 500GB SSD. So that is my primary boot drive, so I'm running Windows 10 Pro on here. There is a space right next to it there for another drive. At some point in the future I will get another SSD. I'll get another Samsung Evo 850, so I'll get either another 500 gig, or if I can afford it, maybe even a terabyte. Now at the bottom of the case here, where you can see the NZXT logo, obviously the power supply is buried under there, but also that's where all the cable management is, so everything's hidden out of the way. Now one thing you can't see in the case at the moment is the hard drives, which are hidden behind this panel here. You actually get at the hard drives from the other side of the case. Now as I said, it's a little bit tricky to get the other panel back on, so I don't want to take it off. But the other hard drive is just down there. You can just about sort of see the label on it. Camera's focusing on the cables there, but that is a 2 terabyte Seagate BarraCuda, which is my sort of data drive. Obviously when you're recording a lot of videos, you end up taking up a lot of space. So let's go on to the video card. Obviously this is the largest and single most expensive part of the build. So this is the Palit nVidia GeForce 1080 GTX. It's an 8GB card, and this is the Super Jetstream version. So again, two big fans on there. I can't really get the camera in so you can see the fans on the bottom of that, but you can see it's got a large heatsink. It's got a rather hefty fan system on there. If we go around to the back, just so you can see, we have a DVD output, there's a HDMI output, and then we've got 3 display ports on there as well. So plenty of connectivity. It's what I wanted. I wanted to make sure I could get the best graphics card that I could, mainly because I want to be as future-proof as possible, and this will allow me to play pretty much any game. Also it helps with rendering because Adobe Premiere uses the GPU's CUDA cores for rendering, and this graphics card is loaded with them, so it's really, really quick on the render. Again, the choice of card comes down to Pierre at System Restore. Really, really good job, really happy with this card. It does have the potential to SLI another one in, so there is a spare slot, but a little bit of a tight fit, be close to the SSDs, but you know, the chances of me actually ever needing an additional card in here are very, very unlikely. But if I really desperately wanted to, I could SLI another one in there. And then there's the power supply, which unfortunately we can't see. We can see a little bit of it around the back, but that doesn't actually tell you much about what it is. But the power supply is an EVGA 750 watt GQ Gold. So we've got a really good quality power supply. If there's one thing I've had problems with in the past, it's been power supplies. I have gone through dozens of them. In fact, the PC before the last one must have had 3 or 4 different power supplies in it, and at one point I had like a 1000 watt power supply. The problem I was having is I was going for higher wattage, not necessarily higher quality. So that's what we've got this time around. It's a 750 watt power supply, which is still pretty substantial. That is a beefy power supply, but it is designed around performance. It's gold rated, so it's not going to go anywhere anytime soon. So the next thing to look at really is the fan system. So you can see we've got these fans. There's 3 of these fans. These are actually, this is the same as the fans that are on the radiator at the top there for the processor. Now this case does come, I believe, with a 140mm fan on the back, but those stock fans they're okay, but these ones are better. These ones, again, down to Pierre. So he's put 3 matching fans in there for me, which is really, really nice. And these fans are the Thermaltake eSports Ring fans, and they're static pressure fans, which are ideal for radiators, of course, because you're putting out a constant amount of air pressure. And the rear one as well, you can't really sort of see it because it's everything's really nicely buried and tidied away, but it actually has a sound suppressing cable on the rear one as well, so there's even less noise. And then finally, what I want to point out, I mean, apart from just look how tidy the case is, I mean, you can't really see any wires. If I took the side off my old PC and showed you inside, literally wires jump out at you and go for the throat. The side panel was literally holding the cables in. But Pierre's done an absolutely fantastic job here. We've got all braided power cables, so the cables going to the video card, they're red and black, all matches the colour of the case, all nicely clipped together, and they all just disappear down there into the bottom of the case. Also, if we're looking at the back there again, a little bit difficult to see at the side of the memory, we've got the motherboard power connectors on there, all nicely hidden away. And again, if we look at the top somewhere, yeah, we've got the auxiliary motherboard power connectors. So this is a really nice and tidy looking machine. However, it looks a lot better when it's turned on. So what I'm going to do now is plug this in, fire it up, show you guys what it looks like. So I've moved the machine over a little bit closer to a power outlet so I could plug it in. I must say this machine is very, very heavy. I mean, it's completely understandable. The solid steel case itself weighs a ton. That's before you've put all of the quality components in. But that's actually a good thing, because the machine being heavier actually means it's more stable. It doesn't rattle and vibrate, and that helps to keep it quiet, which is ideal if you are recording YouTube videos, because you don't want a lot of unnecessary sound coming from whirring fans and hard drives and things like that. So let's go ahead and turn this machine on. So now that I've flicked the switch at the back, one thing you'll notice is the start button is lit up on the motherboard, so we can actually go ahead and press that now to start the system up if we wanted. You'll also see, if you look around the motherboard itself, you see some of the pathways have lit up around there. But let's go ahead and hit the main power button, and we are on. I'm not going to do this for long because obviously I don't want this sucking in a lot of dust, but let's just sort of back out here so you can see. So first of all, we have the red LED there on the video card, so that is showing up nicely for us. You'll also see we've got a red LED on the water cooler. It's a little bit difficult to see that one. It's not the brightest, and it's well in there at the back of the case. And again, like I said, you can configure the colours of that from the software, which is really nice. But System Restore have set this up so everything matches. That little blinking light down there just at the top of the video card, I believe, is the hard drive access light. And then these Thermaltake ring fans, these have all got red LEDs in as well. In fact, I believe the colour of these is also configurable, but it's done from a little hardware switch, which I believe is probably buried on the other side of the motherboard behind the side panel. But this machine absolutely looks gorgeous. You'll also notice there a little LED indicator, and that is because this system has onboard diagnostics, which is part of the motherboard. And there's a big list in the manual that tells you what all of these codes mean. So if you have any problems with the machine booting up, you've got problems with your memory, with the video output, with the cable connector, if anything goes wrong, this thing will literally tell you what it is. So this is designed to be a beast. Henceforth, I have named this machine Goliath. This is its official name. This is Goliath. And this machine has been able to run anything I have thrown at it. I've had these games running on ultra max settings with no problems at all. The Witcher 3, Battlefield 1, Battlefield 4, Total War Warhammer, which runs like a dog on most people's systems. Planet Coaster, running some complex roller coasters with a lot of background scenery, that ran absolutely fine. Nothing that I have thrown at this has had any problems whatsoever. In fact, last night I was actually streaming Overwatch 1080p, and I had OBS running and my stream on the second monitor, didn't drop a single frame, streamed for over an hour, and it was as smooth as butter. Again, I could not be happier with this machine. So I will put the spec in the description below the video. I'll also put some links through to System Restore. If you want to check out their website or have a look at their Facebook page, I'd recommend checking them out. They don't just do PC builds, they also do repairs, upgrades, and will solve any PC issues that you might have. So they're well worth checking out if you are in the UK. But what I'll do next, I'll quickly just show you guys my total setup, including my monitors, and then I'll show you a little bit of video footage just to show you what this system can do. So this is what my actual workstation looks like, and I realised I haven't showed this off before, but I don't have an awful lot of room, so everything is a little bit sort of cramped in down there. So as you can see, we've got my the tower and the subwoofer down there. Handy little thing to hang my headphones on, which is nice and useful. Got my microphone there as well, so that's the Audio-Technica AT2035. Hidden away behind it, which you can't really see, down there is the Line 6 UX2, which is my audio interface, and we are running these two rather beautiful Acer 27-inch monitors, which this machine with its beefy Palit 1080 GTX runs like a charm. So I thought I'd demonstrate a little bit how well this is running by showing you guys The Witcher 3 on this, and as you can see it looks absolutely fantastic. I've even got nVidia Hairworks running, set to full, all the foliage is set to full. You know, this game looks absolutely beautiful at the moment. Let's go ahead and get the horse so we can move through the landscape a little bit faster. Let's go and mount up here. Go. Bit of an old game. I did start playing this and then I kind of just sort of stopped and started doing other things. So I thought that now was an excellent time to start playing it again. Here's some wraiths behind us, and go and fight those in a minute, just so I can show you guys a little bit of combat and how smoothly that works. That's where I was getting the most slowdown in this game previously, which was during combat. But as you can see, I mean, it looks absolutely beautiful, and it runs so well, it's so smooth. I'm not dropping a single frame here. Everything is running so well. Got some things here we can fight. Just a few low-level wolves. Let's make sure we've got our Quen going. Can't even find them now. They've all disappeared. Oh, they've all ran away. They're all over here. I'm terrible at this game, by the way, but it's so nice to be able to play games again without worrying about whether or not they can actually run on the system. And one concession I always had to make is if I was recording something, then I had to make sure that I was running at lower graphic settings than I normally would if I was just playing, because actually recording and the process of having the recording software running, my audio interface software running, having the audio recording software running, all of those other things added up and actually made the system run slower. But I've got all of those things running now. We are running the recording software. We're running my Pod Studio, which is my audio interface software. And everything's working just fine. Let's go and find something else to fight for you. Got some wraiths to do, so I'll make sure we've got Quen selected. But yeah, this machine just does not struggle at all. It does not even budge. And this game, even though it's a slightly older game now, it's still a very, very good looking game and still struggles on a lot of systems. So what I need to be doing here is not getting hit by these wraiths. I'm getting absolutely mullered here. This is probably going to result in my death. I'm sure the reason for this is probably because somehow I don't have Yarden selected, even though I told it to. As you can tell, I am a pro here. No, apparently I did have Yarden selected. I'm just terrible with it. Right, so now we've taken a bit of damage. Let's just go and meditate up for an hour. Or any amount of time will do. Right. Let's go and do this now without making a complete and utter mess of things. Now we're being attacked by wolves again. Go away, filthy animal. Oh, dog tallow. Right, let's get back over here again. Oh. I was about to say we're fine now because it's during the day, but apparently not. Can we get our sword out, maybe? These things are a few levels ahead of me. I'm only level 10, so... The trick to Wraith is to keep them in this circle that keeps disappearing. Because it stops them being able to dematerialise. And you can hit them, because they're incorporeal otherwise. They do hit quite hard, and my armour is now damaged. You're nearly dead. Actually, I don't know. Can you kill a Wraith? Aren't Wraiths dead to begin with? Don't know how that one actually hit me during a dodge animation, but apparently it did. Oh, took a hit or two more than I wanted to. There we go. Finally got them all down. Only just managed that. But again, even with all of that action going on the screen, there was no slowdown. My terrible performance aside, the game continued to function, and it functioned well. And even just the way the undergrowth moves as I walk through, the sort of the leaves and the ferns wrap around my legs, absolutely fantastic. Could not be happier with the performance of this machine. So again, a very, very big thank you to Pierre at System Restore UK for the work he did on this machine. I am really, really happy with it. And next time I need an upgrade, which probably isn't going to be for a long time, I know who I'll be going back to get the work done. So, links to the spec and System Restore UK and their Facebook page will be in the description below the video. So, thanks a lot for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. Until then, goodbye for now.